This is the Rebel Scum Podcast. Available in video on YouTube and audio wherever you listen to your podcasts. Every week, Brock and James talk the latest rumors, news, and theories from a galaxy far, far away. Support us on Patreon for exclusive offers and join the Star Wars discussion. Patreon.com/RebelScumPodcast. Here are your hosts, Brock and James.
You are always scum. Rebel scum.
James, we have to ask everyone's forgiveness. We did not record last week.
Selfishly.
It was our birthdays, and we were selfish. And we're saying, "Fi! Fi, internet!"
No, we were saying Kathleen Kennedy didn't get fired last week, and there was nothing to talk
She's
about.
fired! Put it on the board. God, we really got to get a board.
I think I was planning on doing it, but I took Monday and Tuesday off, and I just forgot that it was Monday and Tuesday. You know when you like have a day off and you don't register what day it is? That was me like every day. And then we got to a day, and I'm like, hey, do you just want to do 2 next week? And you said, maybe. And then I tweeted, we're doing 2 next week. So I don't know if we're doing 2 this week or not, but we're on 222. This is 222. We're 5 away from your episode.
Oh, 227. I watched the theme song because I forgot what it was, and it is it's a real good one.
It's like a minute and a half.
It's like, I forgot how, like, it's not like Regina King is like a side character. Like, she's like the daughter of one of the main characters. I'm like, oh man, what a life,
when
what
TV
a career that you're gonna see. Like, great. Did I get that right? Regina King. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
I think she's.
Oh,
I didn't
man.
put much on, but I'm sorry. It's the fact that you pulled that out. What is the most, I think, impressive thing you've done in the almost 5 years we've done. We're By the way, we are just over a month away from 5 years of doing this ridiculous show. 5 years ago. Think of everything that has changed in the last 5 years, aside from COVID. Like, that's the obvious, but everything else is like, it's crazy. I'm in a different decade of my life. You're about to get married. It's wild how much has changed in 5 years, and pretty soon we both
changed, like, not careers per se, but like went to like bigger and better things with our jobs. Like you were with me when I accepted my we were recording, and my future boss was like, "Yeah, we're gonna hire you." I'm like, "Oh," and life changed.
A lot happened. We recorded. And my last, I have a really great job now, but my last job I got laid off from, and I kind of found out while we were recording an episode of the show for May the 4th. We did like 3 episodes that day, and I got an email saying basically like, you're gonna come in and find out that you've lost your job. Like, that was how it was, like, kind of how it happened. They shut down where I worked. It wasn't just me that got laid off. But like, I remember doing the show. We did an Obi-Wan show, an Unleashed of the Obi-Wan movie, I think at the time is what was going on.
Wow.
And it was a month after Star Wars Celebration Orlando. Like, we've got, I got excited. But Star Wars Celebration Orlando, I don't know if you remember this, we were a few months into the podcast, and we were walking down where I used to live in Port Credit. We were going to a bar called Spleen. What was that bar called? Slice, the red one. It's like very red. Do you remember this? It was wintertime. We're walking in, it was kind of snowy. Yeah. It was you, me, and Aaron were walking in, and you're like, we should go to the celebration. It would be hilarious. And we did. And we did. We did.
Nice.
I've never been since.
Yeah, like, since you moved away, I like never go to Port Credit. I'm like, oh yeah, this place still exists.
Well, I will tell you, that was my first con. Then since then, I've been to a couple fan expos with you. I went to Niagara Comic Con, which was fun.
Yeah,
but it's been I don't know why this is not like an anniversary show. I don't know why we're talking about it right now. But anyway, a lot of fun stuff. I've had a lot of good firsts, and my niece, who is going to be 14 years old on next a week she's going to be 14. She just graduated grade 8. They graduate grade 8 now. I didn't know that. But she's a huge anime fan. And she is, I know, and she is dying to go to Fan Expo. I told her that we went, and her jaw dropped. And I said, I promised her when COVID is, whatever the hell happens with COVID, when they have finally, because it's going to happen eventually, I promised to take her to it. So you might have to show her the ropes because I have no, because I rely on you when I go there.
We'll go to Fan Expo first because it's big and it's overwhelming. But then we'll go to Anime North, which usually happens before Fan Expo, but that is straight up anime.
Oh, she'd love that.
People just in the parking lot of the Congress Center just dressed up and everything. She'll go like most people just hang out outside the thing and take pictures. It's crazy.
Have I told you the first convention I ever? Not that I went to a Star Wars Celebration in Orlando, but the first convention I ever saw like in person, like outside.
Oh, when you're San Diego.
San Diego Comic-Con. I went there with some friends. And my friend was like, he was doing a web tourism on the web thing. And he goes, I need to take shots at the convention center. And I didn't really, I knew San Diego, this was 2009, I want to say. So I knew Comic-Con was a thing, but I never really appreciated what it was, I guess, or understood. So when I got there and it was just, you're like, wow, this is a nice looking convention center. I never went in, obviously. But it was like the people that came out, I was mind blown, and everybody was either in costume or wearing like a nerd shirt. But the one thing that I always said was everybody was smiling, like the happiest people were, and it wasn't like one or two people; it was like thousands of people were walking out of this thing with these giant bags. I'm like, what are in these? Like, what are they buying? And I think naively, I thought that they were like what they gave you when you walked in. You got like a giant bag of stuff, which I'm sure like the first one they probably gave you freebies. But now I'm like, oh no, they paid hundreds of dollars for whatever's in that bag. Yeah. But that was like, and you know what? And then I went with you to Fan Expo in Toronto, which is bigger than Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah.
Right. And the same thing though is everyone at these conventions, even Star Wars Celebration, is just happy. Everyone is just happy, and I really. I took that away from everything.
Yeah, it's just a good time, right? I mean, I feel like it could be the equivalent of a sporting event as well, but I think the problem with sports is the competition has gone to competition is a thing that doesn't exist at a comic convention to an extent. So there's always that like all sports fans are like focused on like, oh, the team's got to win. The team's got to win. And then on top of that, depending on what sport you're talking about, there's a lot of people just like eating lots of food or drinking lots of food,
which you can't afford at these conventions.
Yeah. It's just like, it's not really the same vibe, but it's just like, that's where it kind of differs outside of like, sports and comic books or anime or whatever, sci-fi, a little different from each other, but like, it's still the idea of like, you go to group, and just be like, I love this so much. So man, I can't wait. And I know people are like dying to go back to these things. Like I've said it before, I work for the Blue Jays. Like we're still on the like, will the Blue Jays be allowed to play here in the summer? It's like, it's sort of like, let's not like get too excited, but there is potential. And that like once the team can come into the country and the city says, okay, you can play, you can have fans in the stands. It's like, it's gonna, like, people are gonna want to go back. And it's like, like I miss conventions, and like, we can't really go. We probably won't go to 2022 celebration because it's like in the middle of March or whatever. So
the American weekend. Ours is the weekend before that. Memorial Day is theirs, and that's Memorial Day. Yeah, I told Rob that I want to be going to that. He seemed disappointed. He wants to go. I'm not. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to go because it just. I don't know. It's not the right time for me. I think you had the same sentiment, but Star Wars Celebration is a lot of fun, and it's not. And I remember being there, and there were people who. I remember running into someone at, I think it was a Papa John's or something at 6 a.m. And he was like, I've never seen the cartoon. I just like the original movies. But he wasn't arrogant to anything else. It was just, that's what he liked, and that's why he was there. He didn't look down on you if you liked the other stuff. He's just like, nah, that's just not my thing. I just like what I like. And he was like probably 50 or 60 or something. Like, he was older, right? Like, he was probably, a teenager or whatever when the originals came out. And that was that. Yeah. And that's the best part about Celebration. But I will say, for all of you that are going to Celebration, be careful when you pay with your credit card at some of those vendors, because they use the Cube thing, and people will hack the Cube thing. When we went to Orlando, everybody commented on the forums that they got hacked. Lo and behold, I was one of them. I was like a week or two after everybody did it. Don't worry, the banks take care of it. Everything is insured. Your money is safe, but I'm just letting you know.
Yeah.
You will have a headache for a week and a half until it is sorted out, but it will get sorted out. But just keep in mind, if you can use cash, it is the worst. If you can use cash, though, use cash. If they take cash anymore, I don't know. It'll be 2022. Cash might be obsolete by then. I
don't know. I started using cash at certain things just for the nostalgia. I'm like, give me change.
last time I used cash, I was told, we don't take cash around here.
Well, you don't get my business.
Well, also, it's legal tender. They legally have to take it.
Yeah,
and they also have to legally take $100 bills when they say they won't take $100 bills. Just so you know.
Yeah. It's so true.
Yeah, they legally have to because it's legal tender. But whatever, I'm not going to get into that argument because whatever. Anyway, you want to talk about Star Wars now? Should we go into Star Wars? Sure. Huge writing news is happening. Like writing stuff, it's going on. It could be negative or positive. I don't have the names in front of me because I don't know. But Leslie Headland, I believe, who did Russian Doll, who's doing The Acolyte, which I think both of us are very excited about. She earlier on, she's like, I'm mixing them up. Anyway, she said that one of her writers in the writing room has not ever seen Star Wars, so they finally did.
What?
Yes. So I have a few questions. I have not actually. This is one thing I don't think I've seen many people discuss on social media as of yet. But do you have a problem with a writer of a Star Wars show having never seen? Now they have now, but being hired prior to ever watching Star Wars. Do you, Brock, have a personal issue with that?
No, because that's how we got the Star Wars Christmas special or holiday special. I think like Bruce Valanche is notorious for being one of the writers on that and never watching any of the Star Wars. And if you watch the holiday special, that's quite clear. Now, like, obviously,
I like that you're comparing this to the holiday special.
I just, you gotta look at it from all angles. It's not a terrible thing because, like, sometimes you get one of those because it's like they've tried to do like the Lego holiday special, and it's just like it's not quite the same.
Yeah. The Lego one felt. I like it's. If kids like it, that's fine because it was really meant for them. But for me, it was the repetition was driving me nuts.
Yeah, but it's just like, so it's like maybe you get like for that something like that to happen, you have to have this crazy like group of people that are just like, I don't know what's a Star Wars. But you know what? Just because someone doesn't know Star Wars doesn't make them a terrible writer. So perhaps they could, here's my story idea, boom. And they're like, okay, that is great. Now we're just going to drop these characters. Because, like, what does it matter? Like, if you can tell a good story and have an engaging character plot, like, granted, it's like, I don't know what characters are going to be in that. Like, right? So let's say Chewbacca's in it for however reason, like a young Chewbacca. I don't know how you're going to do it, but you're like, and maybe that's a bad example because you don't really understand what Chewie's saying. So it's like, but you know what I mean? It's like, as long as you like, you could tell that person is like, we need this type of character and this type of character and this type of character. And then they just write it. Doesn't mean it's terrible. Like, and yeah, I don't want to like break down writing as like, oh, it's just, cut and paste and we'll fix it. But like, I don't think like, that person must be a good writer to get into the staff. They're not just like, I know a guy who can write. Like, I mean, so that's wild though. Like, especially what the craziest part of that story is that they let that go. They leaked that out. Like, wouldn't be that like the last thing you want to admit to anybody?
Well, it was in an interview, and I feel like I think Star Wars is a weird thing where I think some people are hyper into like, oh, they're gonna like social media is gonna destroy you, and people like I think some like Leslie Headland, is that her name, Leslie Headland?
Headland, yeah.
maybe she just doesn't understand that Star Wars fans are the worst people on the planet and will come after you.
Or she
doesn't give a
does.
crap. Or she, yeah. Here's my thought on it is this. I remember when I was in, I believe, high school, and I was doing a lot of writing. Like, here's how you write. Doing a lot of writing stuff. I remember reading a Star Trek. It might have been the Next Generation. It was an article on something on Star Trek, and they were talking about writers who write Star Trek. And the writers on Star Trek, apparently at the time, whatever Star Trek was, I think it was Next Generation, like I said, they would write something, and then in brackets, they would be like, technical word in bracket, or like Star Trek verb bracket. Like, they didn't know what it was, and then they would send it somewhere, and Gene Roddenberry, whoever it was, would like take the script, and that part of it, they would write in the Star Trek-ness of it all. And so I think like a talented writer is a talented writer. And, if someone who's never seen Star Wars wrote something and sent the script to Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, let's say, then Filoni or Headland or whoever knows Star Wars and in charge of it is going to fill in the blanks that you don't have, make the corrections that you have. Claudia Gray writing Lost Stars, which everybody loves, she said sometimes she would write something about a ship and they'd be like, the ship isn't there because it's actually in this part of the galaxy. Like, so even though she understands Star Wars probably better than a lot of other writers and a lot of people, there's still things that she didn't know that was going on because it's Star Wars. So I don't think that I think it's beneficial to know Star Wars, to see Star Wars, and now this person has watched Star Wars apparently, but I don't think it's the be all end all, because when you're in everyone's watched Family Guy, and if you watch Seth MacFarlane talk about Family Guy, they say they just throw around jokes. Somebody writes the episode, but really that person didn't write that episode, right? There's like all the jokes, they've just kind of like picked which ones work in it. Yeah. And so, somebody just has to be there to be a strong storyteller. And if this person's never seen Star Wars, it's kind of incredible that you've gone this long with never seeing it. But
this is for the Acolyte, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, even then, it's like that's 200 years before the Phantom Menace.
Yeah, like we don't know any characters yet outside of what's happened in the book. We have no idea how that's going to link at all. So it's like you kind of can do whatever you want. And maybe that's ideal. So I don't know. That's wild though. I love it. Like, I love it. And I'm glad it kind of makes people angry. I'm like, good. Like, well, why does it matter? Like, take chances. Like, The Mandalorian could have been a huge failure, but it wasn't. Like, when you think about it, like, Baby Yoda could have been like a complete flop. You have no idea how people
if Baby Yoda isn't cute, it's a flop.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like, it's you can argue that like Baby Yoda is like Jar Jar. They don't really say anything that makes any sense, but they're just there. But like George Lucas took a chance with this character, and then it just like.
But 20 years later, I think it's paid off though. Like,
oh, absolutely.
Like, I think, you bring that up. Sorry, I just him. Lucas, I think. Even with the original trilogy, not right away, I don't think, but eventually, probably Empire, somewhere around Empire, he looked to the future and it was like, this is my goal is 20 years from now. It's not the now, it's the longevity of this, and that's why I think, that's why I'm really curious about the sequel trilogy, where that is in 20 years. Does it have the longevity of it? Because the prequel trilogy has proven that it has longevity, because now Ahmed Best is like a star. Like, he is a Star Wars star. Natalie Portman, people are obsessed. Hayden Christensen is a Star Wars star. Like, people are excited that he's coming back. And not just me. Like, everybody is excited that he's back in this. And that's where I'm curious about the sequel trilogy, because George Lucas, though, I think that's what he was looking to. He wasn't looking, he's like, okay, now, he told them, he's like, now people might not like you, but in 20 years, people have grown up with you, and that's what it is. It's the longevity of the characters. And the longer someone lives with something, the longer you're connected to it, attached to it, and the more emotional attachment you have to it. And then all of a sudden, it doesn't matter. Like, we all look at movies from our childhood, and we're nostalgic for them, and half of them suck. But they'll always be our favorites because of that moment in time.
Yeah, so true. So true. Talking about the legacy of George Lucas, someone brought this up to me at work today. I don't know if you heard this, and I haven't even looked into it. I just double checked on Google to see if there's any validity to it. Apparently, the last scene of WandaVision, the closing scene of WandaVision, the series in the last episode. Apparently, they re-edited it and put like Doctor Strange astral form above the cabin or whatever.
Something.
And I'm like, well, what? I mean, it's great. It's a great ad, but like, I think they've done that a few different times. I heard something about like they re-edited the Luke in the end of Mandalorian to make him look more photo accurate or whatever. But it's just like, this is the thing that they could actually do now. I mean, like George Lucas did it over and over again, but now it's like, this is actually a valid and doable thing where like, they're like, oh, you know what? I didn't really like how it turned out. Let's fix it. Or 10 years down the line when like stuff in like Marvel has gotten to a certain point, or Star Wars, and we're like, you know, it would be really great if we could retcon stuff, especially like comic books. Comic books are known for like restarting constantly. They've made it the last like 15 years. It's just like Marvel and DC do it all the time. So like, what do you think about that? Like, we've already like, we as Star Wars fans have sort of accepted that like a movie's never done. It just it just grows, right? Would you hate that if they went back and maybe not so much change the story, but maybe they do, but or just go back and like, hey, would this character exist in this, or would you? It's kind of fun. It's like a Where's Waldo? Like, hey, we did an update to Mandalorian, and they don't tell you what the change is, and you just go and find. Like, do you think that degrades the art, or is it something that could improve?
I think if you're talking about like Fight Club, don't touch it. But I don't know why I picked Fight Club.
Yeah.
But with Star Wars, George Lucas revived Star Wars by doing that. And I think something like Star Wars and Marvel makes sense. I mean, Marvel, I think Endgame did a great job of going back and picking things out and being like, we'll make that, we're gonna connect that, even though nothing, like they picked a BS line from a BS movie and they're like, now it matters, right? Or like but genius. So they kind of reverse engineered what Lucas did. But I think you know, the sequel trilogy, everyone's like, hey, should have been connected. I wish, and it's true. And I think there should have been planning. I don't know whose genius idea it was to not have any kind of plan. But now you can look at it and say, you know what would be great if CVP's voice was heard in The Force Awakens at this point when he looks at Vader's helmet. Instead, you hear the breathing, and then very subtly underneath, you just hear like good or something stupid from CVP. Like there's like you could all of a sudden do things like you said. You don't change the story. You don't even have to have. I mean, there's no deleted scenes. That's the one thing that Lucas. No, Return of the Jedi. I'm sure that dancing, whatever his name was not a deleted scene. I think they just extended. They created their own thing. But like you can add things and make them just connect them a little bit better if you want. And maybe it's harder because George like it's not Disney, George Lucas. They're the same level, right? So you just have to I mean, I guess it is harder because George Lucas is a person and Disney is a I can't think of the word. They're a business. The corporation. And then you have Kathleen Kennedy, who's not George Lucas at all. Like she's very different from what George Lucas was. So I don't know. I do think they should do things like that. But there's a fine line, I also think. I kind of always wanted them to do stuff like that for the prequels. But Return of the Jedi, I don't like that they took out Yub Nub. I understand why. I guess it makes sense. I was never a fan of that because I loved it. I probably, though we talked about the nostalgia thing as a kid, Yub Nub was like my favorite. But adding in Gungans on Coruscant, like Jar Jar on Coruscant or whatever it was, like yippee, like how does that not make sense when you look at these 6 movies as 6 cohesive movies? And the prequels don't have any freaking aliens from the original 6 movies. So I mean, it would be great if they just. I've always been saying, a freaking gun talking to an Ewok in Maz Kanata's castle, just in the corner in the back somewhere. But I think they have an opportunity to do it, Brock, and I don't know what it would be, but I think they should.
Yeah, it's like you shouldn't be allowed to change major parts of the story unless you can prove that, like, I don't know. Or like, I think it would be fun to watch something in like 5 or 6 years and you're like, it does a scene that's like, wait, that didn't happen in Return of the Jedi. It's like, no, it's the whole episode or whatever. It's like, this happened in Return of the Jedi. And then you go and watch Return of the Jedi in Disney Plus, and you're like, what? I mean, that's sort of sacrilegious, but like, I like that idea. I also but I think, yeah, it should just be details. Like, wouldn't it be cool if you watch Return of the Jedi in the background of one scene is Hera? You're like, yeah. It doesn't change the movie, but you're just like, look, it's like she exists. And like, I think people would be excited about it. But that doesn't change for the average viewer that just watches it and like that's that wouldn't like affect, but it's just like, there it is. Like, wow. I kind of don't hate it. I think it's pretty crazy. I'm gonna go look for it. Doctor Strange, everyone wanted him in the WandaVision, but it just sort of like, but WandaVision, like, it ended and we're like, yeah, I'm really happy with that. So it is kind of weird.
Well, I think I was the opposite. I was disappointed by the ending. Because I remember I said, though, it felt incomplete. And then there was all the articles came out and they said, well, we didn't get to do what we wanted because of COVID.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird because just wait a little bit longer and do what you want to do. But I think Doctor Strange was supposed to appear. But I did see what you're referring to. And as someone who doesn't understand what's going on, I didn't get it. But I mean, I don't know. I think Star Wars and Marvel are so unique in what they are.
Yeah.
That they can allow themselves to change those details if they want. Because, like I said, Marvel was like Endgame was genius in the way they went back. But now, if they want to go forward and they're like, oh, you know what? But I wish this person was there. They can insert Hawkeye into that one scene. And be like, no, he was there. And we can retcon it. We can actually retcon it without it being a cheap retcon. And people who own the originals will own the originals, and they'll always be proud of that, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But they're so unique entities. Like, they're just so unique. It's like, and I've been thinking about movies a lot, like, lately, and just how like we're in this weird era. Like, we went through all these years of movies, like, and all the, like, Brock, until The Godfather Part 2, sequels always had a title. It was always something, I believe. And then The Godfather Part 2, they're like, Coppola's like, no, it's Part 2. And then we don't do Part 2s. And then all of a sudden, forever, it was like, it's just number 2.
Yeah.
Right? And now we're kind of like in this, like, Fast 9, Furious 10. Like, we don't know what the hell they're doing. But, like, so they kind of play around with whatever they want now. But, like, movies are, like, we've never been here. We went through, like, the remake era. We went through the 70s TV show remake era. Like,
yeah.
Sequel, like, Fast and Furious, to bring them up again, though, has been on, is 20 years old.
Yeah.
20 years old.
It's still around.
And it's still around, and it's changed what it is. But but look, when Star Wars was 20 years old, Lucas was reissuing the original. It's like movies are what, 100 and whatever years old. Like, so much time has passed that we're in this unique era. Why not evolve what film is and what movies are? And you keep what it is, but these type of serialized movies and shows, have fun with them. Go back and make the changes, and then you get our eyes to go back on your streaming services to watch it again. So I just think, it's, I don't know, it's such a unique time period for us. We've never been in anything like this. We're getting a movie a week on Netflix, on Paramount Plus, in the theaters. They're not, like, half of them are going to suck, but the thing is, we've never experienced this in our lives. There's so much going on. Why not take a chance on what you've already got and use that to propel your future stuff forward?
Yeah, it's just like, it just blows my mind that there's a MODOK show on Disney.
Have you seen it?
Oh yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, if you love Robot Chicken, it's exactly the same vibe. But yeah, man, like I don't know what it is about Disney Plus. Maybe it's just because it's like, here's Marvel, here's Star Wars, here's, Disney Pixar, all in one place, and like it's run by Disney, so it's like anything is possible. And like we're seeing, like WandaVision was a good show, Falcon and Winter Soldier is good, Loki is really cool, Mandalorian, amazing stuff. And then like on top of that, they just keep dropping little nuggets. And then like it's just like it's like the whole thing is expanding now that they own Fox. Like it's just it's wild. It's like yeah. So it's like I would be down for some kind of new way of watching a Star Wars thing where it's just like you watch something and it's like you're like, wait a second, that doesn't make any sense. Like talking about something else, an existing storyline. And then a little like icon pops up, and you're like, "What?" And you click it, and it brings you to whatever they've restructured. I'm like, that would be crazy. I don't know. Like, I don't think everyone will like that, but I'm just like, that's not a bad idea. Like, I could be into that, but we'll see. You know, like that could be technically terrible. I don't know. Like, yeah,
it could be, but like, why not try it? I don't know.
Yeah,
it's like I said, it's just we've never lived in this time. Like.
Yeah.
There's so many movies now. Like we've and not just like now, but a century of movies. It's we've never experienced this before. Like Jaws, 46 years ago, Jaws was the first summer blockbuster. Like 46 years of blockbusters. That's all we've had. That's not that many.
Yeah.
And then remember, it was like I think it was like every summer you'd be like, "Ooh, the blockbuster." Then it was like there's 6 blockbusters this summer. And you're like, "What the hell?"
Yeah.
Like remember, like when Independence Day came out, it was like Independence Day. This is going to be the biggest movie of all time because it was the only movie that came out. Yeah. You're like, "Well, that's the one you want to go see." And then Men in Black, you're like, "Men in Black's gonna be great." It was the only one. Like you didn't have multiple movies, but now it's like I don't know. I'm fascinated by the era that we're in. We've never lived in this before, and we'll never live in it again. Let's talk quickly about Patty Jenkins, writer for Rogue Squadron. I don't have this gentleman's name in front of me. I don't know if you do.
I do.
Is it in the news?
Yeah, technically, but there's not much to it. I'll just reread it again. Where is it? Here we go. The writer is named Matt Robinson, known for the invention of lighting, the Dora and the Lost City of Gold, and I believe Love and Monsters is one of his things.
He's done a bunch of underwhelming films, and then Love and Monsters, which I still haven't seen, but I really want to. You've seen it, and Andrew Fantasia have both seen it, and I believe you both enjoyed it. Andrew told me that I would love it.
Yeah.
I believe you said it was really good. I should check it out. I do want to check it out. But anyway, so I don't think I honestly, he was underwhelming. But the thing that's underwhelming is just the movies that have come out. He's still a writer, probably talented. I mean, he's in Hollywood, so he's got to have some level of talent to make it. There's a reason why he's been chosen. But you've seen Love and Monsters. That clearly has nothing to do with Star Wars. But what would your thoughts be based on seeing that movie?
Honestly, Invention of Lying, Dora, the Lost City of Gold, and Love and Monsters are all like actually great films. They're like. I would argue they're quintessential like Netflix movies where you like maybe you wouldn't go see them in the theaters, but like watching them, like I loved Invention of Lying. I thought it was really good.
Ricky Gervais?
It's the one Ricky Gervais where like nobody lies and and then it turns out it's like he creates a religion because it's all kind of based on like no solid facts. It's just like I said this, therefore it is true, and in a sense that kind of is lying because like. How do you figure out like if there is like omniscient being? You can't. That's the whole point of faith, right? Let's not get too deep into it, but yeah, and like I loved the Dora movie. I thought it was great. I actually wanted to see it in the theater. I never did, but I watched it because it's on Prime. Freaking great. And yeah, no, Love and Monsters. It seems to be like this guy writes a lot of like. You see the trailer and like that's kind of cool, but like you're not like thinking about those ideas. It's not like Tenet or like Fast 9. Like everybody talks about that because I was like that's the hot thing and everyone wants to know about it. Doesn't mean they're good. It just means like that's the hot topic. So that's kind of exciting. This guy is attached to a lot of cool projects. Yeah, that's cool. But I don't think this is official. Like I read like Disney hasn't officially commented on it. Also, like this could be here.
I could be wrong. So I've never seen any of those movies, obviously. But I just know people like it's underwhelming, blah blah blah. Love and Monsters, I do want to see. The one thing that threw me off was Patty Jenkins was like, "We'll wait and we'll announce him when the time's right," thinking that would be like a big writer, but it was just this guy, and I think it was Vanity Fair that announced this, so I could be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Again, though, I don't know. This movie, I still just want to see. I don't care until it's happening. I watched Wonder Woman 2 yesterday. Well, and I say watch it, but I put it on and I walked away and went back. Look, the movie, there's something about it that I strangely enjoy. But I told you this over a text. I'm like, while I watch it, I get progressively more pissed off at. Like, it's like, I'm like, and I don't even like the beginning scenes that much. It's weird. I have this weird relationship with that movie where I watch it, I'm like, I'm really enjoying this. And then it starts it gets further along, and I'm just like, I don't get it. Like I literally just sit there like, I'm not sure. But then it ends, and by the end, I'm like, for some reason at the end, I'm happy. I can't figure this movie out. It's an anomaly to me, but I enjoy it. It makes me smile, and it's great to put on when, like I'm cleaning up my rabbit or something. Like, I can't. I don't know. I just
it's the kind of movie that you'd probably enjoy while in a restaurant with the sound off.
You're God!
Oh wow!
My air conditioning was on, and it reminded me of being on a plane and looking over someone's shoulder and like watching it on somebody else's screen.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Or like Jack Astor's when they have like the Flintstones stuff playing.
Yeah,
that's what it is. Yes, it's that kind of movie where it's colorful. You're like, this is fun, but when you listen to the audio, you're like, what is happening right now?
Yeah. I don't think that's how satellites work.
I don't think that's how anything in that movie works. But I just I literally enjoy it. The Chris Pine thing. I'm like, well, that was weird. It's just like make him whatever. But I could kind of get past that because she has a lasso of truth. So it's like whatever. But then like they really start to like. I said this I think months ago when I December was. I'm like, you're losing it. Like I feel like the movie's losing control of itself. By like that, and then it starts to get so lost. I'm like, this is wild. And then Cheetah shows up, and I'm like, this is really like we're really like Batman and Robining it right now. Like we're really close to that, which I do enjoy that movie too. So maybe it says something about me. But then
it's pretty bad.
But then it ends, and I'm like, I smile. I'm like, that's fine. I think because it's Christmas time, and like she smile. I don't know what it is, but I smile at the end of the stupid movie. And then I'm like, well, I'll put it on again.
It's pretty bad where like it's a movie where like her flying an invisible plane or lassoing thunder or lightning, like lassoing lightning, like everyone's like, yeah, that makes sense. That's like the least illogical thing. And they're like, yeah, no, she has an invisible plane in the cartoon. Of course she has an invisible plane in the movie.
Yeah, never mind that it's from the Smithsonian.
Lightning.
She takes the plane from the Smithsonian. Like, do you think that thing's gassed up? Plays a phone to you. But the invisible plane, like somebody was like, how come they're flying through the fireworks? I'm like, it looks cool. I don't care. I don't know. That movie is weird to me. I don't even care. Yeah. I understand like people are like, it's so bad. I'm like, it kind of, I don't know. It feels like Superman 3 territory. Like Superman 3, Batman and Robin are like what? And the thing is, I don't really enjoy Superman 3, but I enjoy Superman 2, and I enjoy Batman and Robin. I watched Batman and Robin like a month ago, and I was like, this is the greatest time of my life. Like I'm just like, this is so much fun. It's terrible, but there's something about it that they get that gets me hooked. And what I'm saying is, I liked it better than Jurassic World 2. 2.
But yeah, like going back to Matt Robinson becoming the writer, like he's very good at dialogue and he's very good at like creating interesting worlds. So maybe this is exactly what Rogue Squadron needs. It's pretty funny. Like article I found, it doesn't put like the title that they created, like, you know, I'm sure it'll change, but the logo that like Disney created for this movie where it just says Rogue Squadron, they just put up a picture of the video game from Nintendo 64.
You intrigue me by saying he creates unique worlds, because I think that like Star Wars is a unique world, and hopefully we can evolve deeper, because I do think the prequels kind of held back on growing the unique worlds a lot, even though they gave us those new aliens. It felt, you know, our friend Din always mentions how we're back to a desert planet. Even Tatooine or Mandalorian does a lot, but like, let's see what we can do. Let's branch out a little bit and have some fun with Star Wars. So I'm excited. I mean, it's I can't. I've never seen the movies. I know people are underwhelmed. That's what's underwhelming, but I'm hoping that he's a good writer, and Patty Jenkins has a good concept, and they put it together. And only 3 wishes this time in this movie. Just 3 wishes, no more.
3 wishes.
Rogue Squadron is good, but it could be better.
Yeah.
See what I did there? See what I did? See what? Pedro Pascal, Wonder Woman 2.
Yeah. Is that from Narcos?
I've never seen Narcos.
Oh.
I've seen Pedro Pascal in the following: The Mandalorian, Wonder Woman 2. No, and I saw him in Triple Frontier. No. Yeah, Triple Frontier, that's what it's called. Yes. He's in that movie too. He plays a helicopter pilot. He plays Tig Notaro.
Like The Rock. He's Tig Notaro. He can replace.
He plays Tig Notaro.
Oh, man.
All right. Odds?
Sir, the possibility of successfully navigating an asteroid field is approximately 3,720 to 1.
Never tell me the odds.
Let's do it. Never tell me the odds, brought to you and me by Patreon. Patreon.com/RoboScum Podcast. Why don't you come and support us? That would be great. We try our best to make Star Wars as interesting as we can. And people like these wonderful people think it's great and then support us. And that's why we shout out their names every episode. Heidi Feder, executive producer, Barry Brophy, Dennis Allen, Randy Kenobi, Mary Kristen Aton, Jeff Wilson, Phil Staniforth, Sooner Thrawn, Scott D, Josh Price, Matt W,
Rez, Frank Perkins, Neil Lowry, D. Raven Spencer, Cosmic Girl 02, Gleek Play 1, Disney Desi, Charlotte, Kayla Davis, Aaron Quinton, Girls with Sabers, and the Dan and Nerds. Thanks
Thank
all.
you.
It means a lot to us.
Best.
We have a good Wills hunting coming up with Andrew Fantasia discussing the Bad Batch. He asked me to join him, and I said, well, I've got to catch up on the Bad Batch too.
Yeah.
I know a few things that have happened because, Friday, 7 o'clock, I wake up for work. I go online. I don't know why, and I see it all.
These are the wrong things that they have done.
Like, literally, that's what it is. It's basically a checklist of everything that happened in the episode. Like, it's 7 o'clock. Like, no spoilers till Monday. It's Friday. Oops.
Yeah, right.
Every week. Oops. What did everybody think about Cad Bane? First off, thank you all Patreon supporters. You don't spoil anything. Never tell you guys, will Omega appear in the book of Boba Fett?
Ooh.
This is I wrote this one having not seen anything past episode 2. This is based on what I know from Twitter.
I'm gonna go. I think it's been a while since I've done this. I'm gonna go full Brock because like a lot of things could. I forgot to mention this to you. I heard there's 16 episodes of this.
Yes, August of that.
We're at episode 8, so we're halfway. They put out a trailer, like the halfway point, and it's just like this is all scenes from the first part. Like none of this is revealing anything. It's just like here's a reminder for what happened. Full Brock because it's just like after the last episode, you're like, whoa, that's a lot of info. So yeah.
Yeah, so I've only seen the first 3 episodes. I'm 5. Am I 5? No, I've seen 4. There's no way I'm 5 weeks behind. 4 weeks.
No, I think you're like 3 episodes behind.
Yeah,
I think you've seen 5 episodes.
Well, when I go on Disney Plus, luckily it knows the last one that I've seen, so I can take it from there. Anyway, I heard about what happened with Omega. I'm gonna go full Brock as well because because Filoni. I watched an interview with Ming-Na Wen talking about when she was approached and how she did the first season of Mandalorian and she got killed and she was really hoping she'd be alive, and then she found she was alive, and Dave Filoni approached her about the Bad Batch and said he had this idea, but it wasn't called Bad Batch at the time, and he kind of approached her about that. And so just thinking how much Dave Filoni might have had at the beginning of the Bad Batch. Maybe he doesn't have so much now, right? But he got the ball rolling on this series.
Mhm.
He probably invented Omega or was a huge contributor to that. And if there's more plans of that character, perhaps that character bleeds into Book of Boba Fett. So I'm going to go full Brock based on that Ming-Na Wen interview alone.
Yeah. It's man. Yeah, I'm excited.
Do it, Disney. Don't be a coward. All right. Next odd, very, very similar. Will Cad Bane appear on the Book of Boba Fett?
It's kind of interesting after that episode. I was thinking, like, we talked about it, I was like, did Cad Bane die? We're like, where did he go? So it's cool to see him back again. And kind of ruthless in this one, even more. I'm gonna go 40%, not knowing where the end of Bad Batch, because Bad Batch will finish at least this first season if there's more seasons before Book of Boba Fett. But like, who knows how? Like, it's this episode, like this series, is sort of not really focused on one main problem. It's like problem after problem after problem, and clearly there's a lot of people pulling the strings behind scenes. So yeah. Who knows? I think it would be great to see him live action. That'd be great. But I'm gonna go six. What did I say? 40%, 40%. I don't know.
I would love to see him live action as well. I don't think Book of Boba Fett's where it's going to be though, so I'm going to go 37%. But I absolutely want him in it. I want to see that episode because I would die to see Cad Bane. I don't have to now because I know he's back, but I really want to see it. So I'm going to go whatever I just said.
Yeah.
37%. And our final odd, will Rogue Squadron be critically praised? Here's the thing. It's not a spin-off. It's not part of the Skywalker saga. It's the first Star Wars that is its own thing. Since the original Star Wars.
Man, I'm gonna go 35%. I don't know. It's just without. It's like there's so much unknown, but I'm like, yeah. No, I'm gonna go. I think people are gonna go in. I base it on people are gonna go in with biases towards Star Wars, biases towards what's her name? Patty Jenkins. Like, it's like I think unless it blows their socks off, like they're just gonna be like, yeah, that was good. That was a movie. So yeah.
I'm gonna go full Brock again. I gotta go double Brock today. Because I could see people love Patty Jenkins' first Wonder Woman. She definitely lost some street cred on the second, but I think if this is just a good movie, it'll do very well. But, I gotta bring something up about this. Do you know? So, I'm on Facebook. I'm in this Disney Plus group. I don't know how. Somebody invited me like before Disney Plus was a thing, and I accepted. And somebody said something about The Last Jedi. And they asked people's opinion of The Last Jedi. And I said, well, this is intriguing. And I looked at the responses. And there was no hatred at all in the comments. But most people didn't like The Last Jedi in the comments. But most people did not like a lot of the sequel movies in it as well. And I found that pretty fast. Like, and no one was like no one hated anything. They're just like, no, I just didn't care for what they did. And it was things like that. And I thought that was fascinating because because these aren't Star Wars fans. These are like Lilo and Stitch fans. Like, these are people who would just watch it. And I kind of found it fascinating where they were all kind of on the same, like some of them were like, I loved it. But most of them were like, nah, I didn't care for it. Not my thing. Like, it's fascinating how it was going to be. And I'm curious about, based on like that, Star Wars going forward. Then we'll mention The Mandalorian though. I would have liked to see what those people thought of that as well. But I
don't know.
It's fascinating.
Yeah. I hope that Star Wars at some point can be a point where like, oh wow, but it's just like, it's sort of like, it's always going to do well, just like a Marvel movie is always going to do well, and Fast and the Furious for that is like, it's always going to do well because you have a fan base that are just like, yeah, I would love to see this more and more and more. But it's just like, those movies don't really push the gamut. They're like, they are like that we exist in this world. So I was like, but they're not saying you couldn't. I would argue that Christopher Nolan's Batman really changed the genre in a sense. Like, it's like, whoa, this is really good. But anyways, but now it all just sort of sounds like the same to an extent, you know. Like, I get excited, but like,
I think Batman Begins like ruined superhero movies because everything was like, we gotta be gritty, and I know what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying, but everything was like, we gotta be down to earth. And then Iron Man came out, and Iron Man was like, we gotta be down to earth, but also it's Iron Man. Yeah. And that's, if you read, there's an article with Jon Favreau where he says they didn't introduce the Mandarin because he was too extravagant. They couldn't figure out how to do him in a realistic manner because everything was Batman Begins realistic. And the weirdest thing of all is Iron Man 1 and Dark Knight came out the same summer, like 2 months apart. They came out, and they're both great superhero. I haven't seen Iron Man in a long time, but they're both great superhero movies, but vastly different. Very different from each other. And they're both great. And then Marvel, I think it was like Captain America and Thor, they're like, screw realism. We can't do it. Like, this character is a god. And they kind of did what you're saying, and then they just were like, no, we'll go back. And Marvel has found this zone where it's not quite Superman 3, but it's like it lives between like Batman Begins and Superman 3. Like, it lives somewhere in there, you know, like Batman Begins. Like, it lives in, like, we're gonna have a lot of fun. It's gonna get a little campy, but once it gets a little bit too far, we're gonna reel it in and remind you that this is like they found a good comfort zone for that, I think. All right.
Alrighty. Hollow news.
Hollow news. Da 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 da. Hollow news. Da 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 da. Hollow da 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 da. Okay, I'm gonna just turn on my mic here. You can read the news.
Hollow news. The news you need to know. Hollow news. The news you need to know right now. Hey, Lego fans, guess what? There's more Lego. Apparently, the Boba Fett's ship, known as Slave One, doesn't get called that anymore on Lego sets. It says it's referred to as Boba Fett's starship instead of Slave One, and Star Wars fans noticed that change thanks to announcement of new Mandalorian-themed Lego set featuring the iconic vehicle. Jedi News spoke with Lego designers Jens Kronvold Fredrickson and Michael Lee Stockwell, who confirmed the change was requested directly by Disney. It's probably not something, Fredrickson said, it's probably not something which has been announced publicly, but it's just something that Disney doesn't want us to use anymore. It's also worth remembering that this doesn't necessarily mean the ship's name has changed in the Star Wars universe. Disney could keep the Slave One title as part of the official canon, but it will refrain from using the branding on any all-ages merchandise. This is not too different from, if you know, the X-Men villain Holocaust. Action figures are typically he's renamed Nemesis whenever an action figure is released. It wouldn't be the first case that Disney's removed a controversial Star Wars element from its merchandising empire. In 2015, we learned Disney was phasing out the use of the Slave Leia costume from Return of the Jedi. And as we spoke before, but I'll do it again because I have it in front of me, the upcoming Star Wars Rogue Squadron film now has its writer, the Invention of Lying and Dora and the Lost City of Gold writer Matt Robinson will be penning the upcoming film in the Star Wars franchise. Even though Disney has officially commented on Robinson's involvement with the project, Deadline reports that he will be the one writing it. Not much else is known of the upcoming Star Wars Rogue Squadron film, other than the Wonder Woman director Patty Jenkins will also be directing it. It is slated to come will be the first film since the Star Wars saga concluded with the 2019 film Rise of Skywalker. So this will be the first Star Wars film post-COVID in 2023, I believe. And finally, Mark Hamill's at it again. He's on Twitter. Someone on Twitter said, random Star Wars film question for the day. I don't know how many takes Hamill himself, that's Mark Hamill, that's not true. That's an impossible line in Empire after the reveal, but it sounds like it would kill his voice, which is a good thing he chose to fall silently. And to which Mark Hamill says, it's crucial to warm up vocally prior to any demanding challenges. And for your information, in that scene, nothing could be heard over the deafening roar of the wind machines. I spoke my lines based on Vader's gestures, unable to hear a word he said. Everything was dubbed in later in post-production. So that's pretty cool. Like the Star Wars scene, the reveal, wasn't even intentional. I mean, it was intentional, but he had no idea what was going on. So Mark Hamill was just reacting to what the Vader actor was doing. The actor recently Mark Hamill recently joined TikTok after calling out a fake account saying that they were Mark Hamill. Hamill's first video featured his dog Mabel, and it was an instant success. The post got over 5 million views, and Hamill now has 2 million followers on TikTok. And if you want to go follow him, check it out. I might start doing it because I don't know. I don't really need TikTok, but I have seen some really cool ones. And this has been your Hollow News.
I did one TikTok video. Aaron forced me to. And it was, I think we nailed it. I think it has 13 views, maybe 3. I don't know.
I got to say, both, like 2 of the stories I cut and pasted, that's right, I'm a journalist, today for the news had like glaring spelling mistakes. Like I almost read it wrong. It says tick in here instead of TikTok. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
I've read a lot of articles like that, and I've read some books recently with typos in it too. And I'm like, these are books that go through editors. Not my book, which had no editor.
I pasted that article into Word, and Word knows that TikTok is misspelled. I'm like,
and if Word gets something right, you know there's a problem.
Oh no, it's thinking like, oh, do you mean Tiki? No, I mean TikTok.
It still knew what was going on. Top 5?
Top 5. I don't even know what top 5 is.
Today is we've hit our peak of top 5. Today, top 5 supporting characters, so not main characters, not your no Jar Jars, no Lukes. Top 5 characters you would like to meet in person. Top 5 Star Wars characters you would like to meet in person. Oh, I wanted to show you. I got. I can't find it right now. I got the Jar Jar Black series.
Oh, did you?
I don't know where it is though.
Did Darth Ward get it for you?
Yeah, but where is it? It was just here. I also got those Tiger Electronics handhelds that I show you. I have the.
Yeah.
I just got the Transformers one.
Oh my god.
There's a Jurassic Park one coming out in like August, and I am totally getting that. Where the hell's my Jar Jar? Erin cleaned my room up. so she cleaned the office because there was stuff. Where the frick did it go? It was right here. I wanted to show you. I have this Ninja Turtle toy that I got for $1. See that? It's a Foot. It's a Foot Clan member, I think. I don't know what it is. I think it's a Foot Clan. That's not Jar Jar. Where the hell did my Jar Jar go? Jar Jar! Misa, I can't find you. It's gotta be over there. Anyway, top 5 characters we would like to meet, but they have to be supporting and not main characters. My number 5 is Chief Chirpa. The stories he could tell. The stories he would tell. Phenomenal. I want to meet Chief Chirpa.
James, I don't even need to tell you who number 5 is. It's always Hondo Anaka.
Hondo's my number 4. The stories Hondo could tell you.
Yeah.
Hondo, my number 3. This guy could tell you stories. He could tell you about some cloners. It's Dexter Jetster. I would totally go for some Jawa juice and fries at Dexter's Diner.
My number 4 is going to be oh god, Lobot.
Oh, that's a nice one. I haven't even thought of Lobot.
Yeah, Lobot.
Well played on Lobot. My number 3. Oh, I lost my list. My number 2. We're on 2. Did you do 4?
Yeah, no, you skipped your 4 and went to your 3. So I'll do my number 3 because your number 4 was Hondo.
I did Hondo. Sorry, that was my bad.
My number 3, I don't know. Maybe this is like a point of contention, but I'm gonna go with Lars Santeca. He's not really a main character. He dies right away. I was like,
no, supporting character. He fits right into that. He's right into what.
Yeah, like I think they should do more with him.
I hope you want to meet him before he gets killed, though.
Yeah, of course. Don't be slow.
He'll teach you the ways of the Force.
They could, if they ever do this Luke and Lando like mission thing that we hear about in Rise of Skywalker, you can definitely drop them in there. That'd be awesome.
I hope they do stuff. I mean, you have the platform for it. Do it. My number 2, Zam Wessel. Where's my Funko Pop of Zam Wessel? Have they just not figured out if they want to do human form or like her normal form? Like, I don't know. Give me the Zam Wessel. Fuck, go.
I just realized my number 2 is a main character. I was gonna say Chopper, but like, yeah, he's a main character.
Yeah, Chopper.
I'm getting confused by just like cool characters you want to hang out with.
It'd be too easy.
I'm gonna go. Oh gosh. Number two. Now I'm getting confused on main characters. I'm gonna throw an Ewok in there, so I'm gonna go Tebow because I was like Wicket. I'm like, he's the main character. It can't be Wicket, so I'm gonna go Tebow. It has to be an Ewok on there somehow.
Yeah, there has to be. Yeah. My number 1. Can you guess who my number 1 is? I'll tell you. My number 1 is the reason for the Skywalker. Huh?
2 tubes.
2 tubes was on my list, but I changed it with Chief Chirpa at the last minute. My number 1 is the reason for the Skywalker saga to be a thing. How's that for a clue? Ben Quadinaros. If Ben Quadinaros' pod works, he wins the pod race, he wins the Boonta Eve Classic, and all of a sudden there is no Skywalker saga. So thank you to Ben Quadinaros. My number 1 is Ben Quadinaros. I don't know what a conversation. So originally 2 tubes and Sabalba were on my list, but they got taken out by some other people. So who's your number 1?
Oh God, my number 1. Bosk.
Yes.
Yeah.
You did it.
Did it. I just looked over here and picked something.
Like, oh, Bosk.
Yeah, Ponda Baba.
Ponda. That would count too. Let us know who your top 5s are in the comments below or to the live chat beside, because that matters. This is the toughest top 5 we've ever done. The most crucial one of them all. All right, Brock, you got to get going, so we should wrap this up. Anything else you want to say?
No, not really. It's sort of like get vaccinated seems like kind of redundant now.
Yeah, most people.
Even Canada, the people are getting second vaccination. So hooray!
Scotiabank Center set a record for the most in one day or something like that, or Ontario did or something. So that's cool. I'm still on my first. My second's coming at some point, but whatever.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching. It means a lot to us. He's Brock. I'm James, and he was always Scum.
Rebel Scum.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always,